Hello everyone, myself N. Rajeshwari. I am working as a contract lecturer in a electrical department in Government Polytechnic Cherial College. I am dealing with the subject electrical power systems for fourth semester students diploma. Today I am explaining about the types of distribution systems and calculation of voltage drop in AC and DC distribution systems. Before going to the class, in last classes, we'll discuss about the radial system and types of distribution systems and also the equipment used in the substations and distribution types, primary and secondary distribution systems. So all those things are seen that in last previous classes. So from today's class, the types of systems, distribution systems. In that radial system is taught by last classes. And today's classes, today I will discuss about the ring main system, distribution system. So it is one of the classification of distribution systems. So it is a closed loop circuit from the substations, bus bars, make a loop through the area to be served and returns to the substation. These distributors are tapped from different points through the distribution transformer. In radial, one feeder and one distributor is connected at only one end. That is a radial distribution system. In that, we have some disadvantages like um, cut off of supply. If any fault occurs on feeders or distributors, then the supply will cut off. So, in order to eliminate those problems, we will use the ring distribution system or ring main distribution system. So, this is the ring main distribution system. So, these are the transformers T1, T2, T3. So, these are connected loop area. So, from this to this complete loop is formed with the three transformers T1, T2, and T3, and these are the two generators in ring distribution systems. So this is the substation where from which point we are supplying the power to the loads or consumers. So from this primary ring is there. So this is the ring loop or ring shape. From this one distribution transformer is placed here and another distribution transformer here, and this is another distribution transformer, and from this secondary these loads are connected to the distributors. Here these are connected the loads, so this is the load connections. So these are the some of the complete ring distribution system. These are distributors and feeders. Whenever fault occurs in this place, these will operate without interruption of supplies. Coming to the ring distribution system advantages, essentially it meets the requirements of two alternative feeds to give 100% continuity of the supply, which is saving in copper. Because if any system gets affected with the fault, two more alternate feeders are feeds the supply with 100% continuity. So the disadvantage is for faults at T1, fault current is fed into the fault via two paths in parallel. Hence the fault current is much higher. See this, if fault occurs here, so this is towards T2 and this complete loop will form affected with the supply fault current. Two parallel paths are get affected, so the fault current is much higher than normal fault current. The protection must therefore be fast and decommission correctly so that consumers are not convenienced. Because if any supply is cut off, consumers will inconvenience without protection. It will be inconvenience to the consumers. By taking the protection against their faults, the other consumers will not affected with the fault currents. Some of the few more advantages of ring distribution systems are less voltage fluctuations at consumer terminals and more reliability as radial system, and easy maintenance, low voltage drop, and both consumer is fed through two feeders. And coming to the comparison between radial and ring distribution systems are given in this table. Radial distribution system, more voltage drop, and ring distribution system, the less voltage drop. These radial distribution systems are not reliable, and ring distribution systems are more reliable. And these radial distribution systems are not economical systems, and ring main distribution systems are more economical. And consumer is fed by a simple distributor, and consumer is fed through two or more distributors. So no provision distributor for interconnection, and the possibility of interconnection to raise the potential. So coming to the disadvantages of ring distribution to overcome by interconnected distribution systems. The feeder ring is energized by two or more generating stations or substations. It is called interconnected system. So this is the interconnected distribution system, but the problem in ring main distribution system is overcome by using these interconnected distribution systems. So these are the four distributors, transformer. This is the distributor transformer. This is distribution transformer. This is also distribution transformer, and this is also the distribution transformers. And these are the loads connected to these transformers. These are the feeders. The total interconnected system block diagram is shown in this figure. The advantages of interconnected system. So some of the advantages over ring main systems: the increase in service stability and more efficiency of the system, and feeding in any area during peak load period from more number of generating stations is possible. So increase in servicing stability, it increases service stability, and it gives more efficiency of the system and feeding any area during peak load periods also. From more number of generating stations are possible in this interconnected system. So coming to the calculation of voltage drop in AC and as well as DC distribution systems. So the distributor types in power distribution system are AC and DC. The distributors of AC and DC distribution systems are generally classified as per the way they are being fed by the feeders. So the main distributors types in power distribution system are as given below. Those are distributor fed at one end, and distributor fed at both ends, and distributor fed at the center, and ring mains are ring distributors. These are the four main distributor types in power distribution system of both AC and also DC. Coming to the AC distributor fed at one end, In this type, this is the this figure shows the distributor fed at only one end. This is the distributor. It at a point A is distributed. So this is these are the loads, various loads applied to this distributor. So in this type, the distributor is connected to the supply at one end, and the loads are tapped at different points along the length of the distributor. This is total is the distributor from A to I1, I2, I3 are the different loads applied to these distributors at different tappings. The single line diagram of distributor AB is fed at point A as shown in this figure, and the various loads are I1, I2, and I3 are tapped at a point C and D and E respectively. These current from A is I1 plus I2 plus I3 total current. Here I1 flows through this load, and I2 plus I3 will flow through CD, and D I2, and from D to E I3, and E is I3. So this is the total distributor. The following points are in this case the current in the various sections of the distributor from the far end D goes on increasing as we approach the feeding point A. Thus, current in section CD is more than DE, and current in section AC is more than CD. This means current in AC is more than CD. So I1 plus I2 plus I3 is more than I2 plus I3. Where CD is current in CD is more than DE because it is I3, this is I2 plus I3. The voltage across the loads away from the feeding point goes on decreasing. The minimum voltage occurs at the farthest load point E. So at last point E, the voltage across the load away from the feeding point is decreasing. Whenever the load on the distributor is switched on or off, there are heavy voltage fluctuations at the farthest load point E. So it is a last point and forest point because the load on distributor is switched on, switched off. Their heavy load fluctuations occurs at point E. If the fault in any section of distributor, the whole distributor will have to be disconnected from the supply mains for its repair. Therefore, continuity of supply is interrupted at only one end. So if any fault occurs here, the total supply of a distributor will disconnected from the supply to eliminate the fault. So there will be continuity of supply is interrupted. So in second type, the AC distributor fed at center. So this is fed at center at point M. This also these two ways are distributors A to M and M to V. So these are the loads. Some at C I1, at C I2, and E I3 and F I4. In this type of feeding, the distributor is connected to the supply at the center, and the loads are tapped on the both side of the distributor along its length. The figure shows the single line diagram of distributor A and B fed at a middle point M. The various load currents are I1, I2, I3, and I4 are tapped at a points of C, D, E, and F respectively. It is equivalent to two singly fed distributor, that is MA and MB, each one having a common feeding point and length equal to half of the total length. It is preferred over a distributor fed at one end because of the following advantages. The various sections of the distributor carry lesser current, which reduces the voltage drop in the distributor. The voltage reaching the farther points, that is C and F, is more, and therefore fewer voltage fluctuations at the farthest end. Farthest end, it is fewer voltage fluctuations because the voltage is high. Total voltage reached is high. The conductor size required for distributor is also less. So this means that from the farthest end, CD I1 and DM current is more than CD, or MD current is more than DC, and ME current is more than EF. So at farthest end C and F, this F, C and F, the voltage reached at these 2 points is more. So lower fluctuations occurs here is also less. So distributor is fed at the center point M. This is about the this AC distributor fed at center. And the next one is AC distributor fed at both ends. In this type of distributor, the distributor is connected to the supply at both ends, and loads are tapped at different points along the length of the distributor. The supply voltage at the two feeding points may or may not be equal. Single line diagram of a distributor fed at point A and point B is shown in this figure below. The various loads are I1, I2, and I3 are tapped at a point C, D, and E respectively. These are two distributors fed at both ends. So this is A, BA, and this is BB at point B. This total AB is a distributor. So these at both ends, the two distributors are fed, and C, D, E are the three load points, and I1, I2, I3 are the three currents. The advantages of distributor fed at both ends. If the supply of any feeding end fails, the continuity of the power supply to the consumers is maintained from the other feeding end. In case the fault occurs on any section of the distributor, the faulty section can be isolated and the supply is maintained to the remaining sections. This improves the reliability of the supply. The area of cross section required for doubly fed distributor is much less than the singly fed distributor. Hence, it is economical because in singly fed distributor, if any fault occurs, it's totally isolated from the supply, so that doubly fed distributor is much less than singly fed distributor cross sectional area. Hence, it is economical. And if any fault occurs in any section of the distributor, at the faulty section can be isolated from the supply, and remaining will be remaining sections will be maintained as is to improve the reliability of the supply. The ring distributor or ring main distributor uh, in this is the ring distributor type of distributors. In this type of distributor, the distributor is in the form of ring or closed circuit and is applied at one or more than 1 point. When the distributor is fed at 1 point only, it is just a doubly fed distributor fed at equal voltages at both ends, being brought together to form a closed ring. This is the ring distributor. These are the VA and AD, I3 load, I1 load, and I2 load. C, B, C, and D are the loads from this one. Is the ring shaped or ring main distributor. It has all the advantages which have been mentioned for the doubly fed distributor. The ring main distributor may also be fed at more than 1 point for the purpose of calculations. In that case, the distributor can be considered as a distributor consisting of series of open distributors fed at both ends. This is the ring main distributor. It may also be fed at more than 1 point. For the purpose of calculations, in that case, the distributor can be considered as a series of open distributors fed at both the ends. So we will see one problem on AC distributors. A single phase AC distributor as shown in figure 1 calculate the total voltage drop. The resistance and reactance are 0.25 ohms and 0.125 ohms and per 1000 meters per to and fro. So this is the figure for above problem. This is fed at F and A, B, C are the load points, loads connected points. So I1, I2, I3 are the load currents. I1 is 100 amperes and I2 is 120 amperes and I3 is 80 amperes. With a power factors of 100 amperes with a power factor of 0.707 lag and I2 is 120 amperes with the unity power factor and I3 is 18 amperes with 0.8 lag. So the distance between F and A is 100 meters, A and D is 150 meters, and B and C is 150 meters. First, we have to write the given data. The resistance of distributor R is 0.25 ohms. Given in this problem, reactance is 0.125 ohms. So this is the reactance of the distributor. X is equal to 0.125 ohms and length of the distributor to and fro is capital L is equal to 100 meters. First of all, we have to do the resistance per meter length and reactance per meter length. So resistance per meter is equal to resistance of the distributor per unit length of the distributor, total length of the distributor. So R by L. R is 0.25 divided by 1000 meters. So 0.25 into 10 to the power of minus 3 ohms is the resistance per meter. Then coming to the reactance also, reactance per meter is equal to reactance of the distributor per unit length of the distributor. So X by L is given by 0.125 divided by 1000. So 0.125 into 10 to the power of minus 3 ohms. And then impedance of the section FA. So Z is equal to impedance per meter into length of the section. Z by M into I. That means Z by M is 100. So M means up to section FA. This is 100 meters. So Z is equal to impedance per meter into length of the section. So Z by M into I. L. L is the length of the section. So 0.25 into 10 to the power of minus 3 plus J times 0.125 into 10 to the power of minus 3 into length is 100. So by multiplication and simplifying that, with 100 multiplied with this 25, we will get for this 12.5, we'll get 25 plus J 12.5 into 10 to the power of minus 3 ohms is the impedance of the section FA. And then impedance of the section AB is Z2, impedance per meter into length of the section. So length is given as 150 to the A and B. B and C is 150. Again, we will find out the Z2 and Z3. So Z2 is given by 0.25 into 10 to the power of minus 3 plus J times 0.125 into 10 to the power of minus 3 into 150 is the length of the section AB. So 37.5 plus Z times 18.75 into 10 to the power of minus 3 will get finally. So that is Z2. And impedance of the section BC is Z3, that is 0.25 into 10 to the power of minus 3 plus J times 0.125 into 10 to the power of minus 3 into 150 is the length of the line or section BC. So 37.5 plus J 18.75 into 10 to the power minus 3 ohms. By finding Z1, Z2, Z3, total current flowing through the section FA is equal to I1 plus I2 plus I3. We have to find. So 100 at an angle of 45. So this will converted into rectangular to polar form. All the values are in polar form. So these are 100 at an angle of 45 plus 120 at an angle of 0 plus 80 at an angle of 36.86 degrees. So this is I1, I2, I3 from the figures. I1 100 at an angle of 0.703. This is 45 degrees, 0 degrees, and 36.86 degrees is the power factor. So by substituting these values, we will find out total current flowing in the section FA is 254.7 minus J 118.7 amperes is the rectangular form of current. After that, so current flowing in the section AB is equal to I2 plus I3. Again, we'll find that 120 at an angle of 80 degrees, 0 degrees, plus 80 into 0.8 minus J 0.6. So finally, 184 minus J 48 amperes, we will get the current flowing in the section AB. Next, current flowing through the section BC is I3. So 80 into 0.8 minus J 0.6. So 64 minus J times 48 amperes, we will get current flowing through the section FA and AB and BC. So the voltage drop in the section FA will given as current flowing through the section FA and into impedance of the section FA. So 254.7 minus J 118.7 is the current. into impedance of the section FA is 25 plus J 12.5 into 10 to the power of minus 3. So finally these multiplication and addition total terms, by simplifying this value 7.851 plus J 0.22 volts will get as voltage drop in section FA. After that, voltage drop in section AB. So same, the current flowing through the section AB into impedance of the section AB. So 184 minus J 48 into 37.5 plus J 18.75 into 10 to the power of minus 3. We will get the value as 7.8 plus J 1.65 volts as the voltage drop in the section AB. Sorry. The voltage drop in the section BC is the current in section BC into impedance of the section BC, that is 64 minus J 48 into 37.5 plus J 18.75 into 10 to the power of minus 3. So which is equal to 3.3 minus J 0.6. We will get the voltage drop in the section DC. The total voltage drop in the distributor is equal to voltage drop in the section FA plus voltage drop in the section AB plus voltage drop in the section BC. So 7.851 plus J 0.22 plus 7.8 plus J 1.65 plus 3.3 minus J minus J 0.6. So by taking these values, so by adding 7.851 plus 7.8 plus 3.3, we will get the 18.951 and J 0.22 plus 1.65 minus 0.6 will get the value as J into 1.27. So finally, by taking polar form, 19 volts is the final total voltage drop across the distributor F to C. So that is 19 volts. Similarly, take one more problem. The loading on the distributor is shown in figure 1. The distributor is a 2-4 cable for which the resistance and the reactance are 0.25 and 0.125 per 1000 meters of cable run respectively. And what should be the voltage at the point A to maintain 400 volts at point B? D. So here 400 volts to maintain, what must be the voltage should at point A? So we have find that voltage at A, which is the voltage at D is maintained to be 400 volts. So this is the line diagram of the distributor A to D. A to B is 100 meters and B to C is 150 meters and C to D is 150 meters, and I1 is equal to 50 amperes at 0.8 lag and I2 20 amperes at 0.5 lagging, and I3 is 40 amperes at unity power factor. The impedance of the cable is given by 0.25 plus J 0.125 ohms per meter. So for Z1 section AB, 0.25 plus J 0.2125 into 100 divided by 1000. We'll get Z1 as 90.025 plus J times 0.10125 ohms. The impedance of the section BC is Z2 is equal to 0.25 plus J times 0.125 into 150 divided by 1000. So 0.0375 plus J times 0.01875 ohms. And impedance of the section CD is 0.0375 plus J times 0.01875 ohms. So I will give this value as direct one because the two lengths are 150. So same answer will be the Z3 also. So I am taking this as direct value. Then coming to the current flowing through B is I1. So 50 into 0.8 minus 8.6 will get 40 minus J30 amperes as current flowing through the from the B, and current flowing from the C will be I2. So 20 into 0.5 J 0.866 will get that 10 minus J 17.32 amperes. The current flowing from D is I3 is equal to 40 into 1.0 minus J0. So unity power factor J0, 40 minus J0 is amperes is the current flowing from D. And assuming all power factors refer to the far end voltage, which is VD. So because VD is given as 400 volts, so that to maintain this 400 volts, all the power factor referred to the far end of VD we are assuming. So voltage at D is VD is equal to 400 plus J0. So taking VD as reference vector, the voltage at C will be VC is equal to VD plus I3 Z3. So VC is equal to 400 plus J0 plus I3 is 40 minus J0 into Z3 is 0.0375 plus J times 0.01875. So by simplifying this value, we will get 401.5 plus J 0.75 volts is the voltage at CVC. Then VB, so voltage at B is given by VB equal to VC plus I2 plus I3 into Z. So 401 is the VC will get in above 401.5 plus J 0.75 into 10 minus J 17.32 32 plus 40 minus J0 into 0.01875. So by taking these two values, 10 plus 40 is 50 and minus J 17.32 into this value Z2. So by multiplying and subtracting all the values, so finally we will get a VB as 403.7 plus J times 1.0380 volts is the VB. And coming to VA, the voltage at A, we have to find the voltage at A. How much voltage at A will give the maintain the voltage VD as 400 volts. So we have to find that voltage at point A. So where VA is equal to VB plus I1 plus I2 plus I3 into Z1. So 403.7 plus J 1.038 into plus 40 minus J30 plus 10 minus J 17.32 plus 40 minus J0, that means 40 into 0.025 plus j 0.0125. So by simplifying this, 40 plus 10, 50 plus 40, 90 minus 30 minus 17.32, that is 47.32, by multiplying and addition. Finally, we will get the answer BA is equal to 406.542 plus J 0.980. So that is converted into polar form. So we will get as 406.542 at an angle of 0.14 volts is the voltage of A, voltage at A, that is VA, to maintain the voltage at D as 400 volts. So what should be the voltage at A means 406.542 at an angle of 0.14 volts is to maintain the voltage at D is 400 volts. So this is the voltage at A. So this is all about the today's class, and the next classes we will see the what is the this DC distribution systems, calculation of voltage in DC distributors. This is all about AC distributor problems and methods. Same as the AC distribution systems, the DC distributors also same. At single end, a double end, fed at one end, fed at to both ends, and also midpoint of the midpoint of the distributor, and ring distributors. These are all are same in DC also. So today this is all about the AC distribution and also problems in AC distributions. So in the next class, we will discuss about the DC distributor systems. Thank you.